Good morning, guys. Thanks for joining us. This is going to be a quick video. In this video, I'm going to go over how you would expand the I/O capabilities of a SCC-410. And in this example, I'm going to use an SCC-310, and I'm going to bring in the I/Os from that into the 410 programming and use it as a normal locally connected I/O. Okay, so let's start. I'm going to fire up my my network integrator software, and I've created a site called SCC-410 expansion example. Let's connect to the controllers and go into the site. So I'll show you what I've done here. Basically, I've created the SCC-310 and an SCC-410. Okay, and then I'm going to show you how you would connect the points between an SCC-310 to a 410 and use them as a regular I/O. Okay, so in the 410, I'll fire up the Catalyst program here, and I'll show you what I've created here. Okay, so basically I've created 2 pages. You can put all this in 1 page if you want. I just did it for a little bit of clarity, and so it's not all jumbled up. I'm going to get rid of this browser window down here so we see more of the program. Okay, so you can see I've dropped all the analog inputs that are available on a SCC-410 onto this page. I've also dropped all the output points, which are 5 digital output and 3 analog outputs, onto the same page as well. So basically I've exhausted all the local I/O points on my 410, and in this particular job let's say I want to pick up a couple more I/O points, and I don't want to use another 410, for example. You could obviously, but if you didn't want to, this is how you would do it. So on a new page, I created a couple of network input points, and then I've also created a couple of network output points. Okay, this one I've called it expansion analog input 8, and this one I call it digital output number 6 and analog output number 9. Obviously these do not exist in the 410, but I'm going to pass the information back and forth through the network. Okay, so that's pretty straightforward there. Let's close let's close this. And then in the 310, basically what's nice about SCC-310, which is a configurable controller, is by default it comes with 5 digital output points, which are relay output points. It has 2 analog output points, and it has 5 analog input points. So I'm going to use those as my expansion. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to browse the 310 just so we can see what it's doing. Okay, it just takes a minute to load it up. Okay, so you can see I've forced, just for testing purposes, I've forced my analog input number 0 to 77 degrees, and my digital output 0 is on. And let's also look at the Catalyst program in the live mode so we can see what's happening. Okay, so this is what we saw already, but I'm just going to put this in the debug or live mode so we can see some information being popped out onto the screen here. Okay, and I'm going to shrink this a little bit. And then I'm going to bring this on the side here as well. So let's just test this. I'm going to just move this down a little bit. Let's test the analog expansion input number 8 here on the program here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go under the 310 here, and I'm going to override to a different value. Let's override it to 90 degrees, for example. Okay, so you can see my 410 right away picks that up. So basically these points are interconnected now, and it's working as one. And let's go in here And let's set some of these values. Okay, so off, so you can see my digital output went off on the 310, even though I'm commanding it from my 410. And let's turn it back on. So I'm going to turn it on. So just watch, before I turn it on, watch this point here, digital output number 0 on the 310. So goes on here. Okay, so it's very quick. And this is how I can quickly expand my local I/O. Okay, I'm going to stop these and I'm going to show you just one last step that I didn't show you. That's how these points are connected. So basically all the points between the 410 and the 310 would be connected through my connections, into my connections folder, and through bindings or connections. They both mean the same thing in the Circon world. Okay, and let's look at one of these, for example. So basically you can see I've taken my network variable that I created in my Catalyst program from the 410 called analog input 8, okay, and I've connected it to a network variable out of the 310 called NVO value analog input number 0. So anything that happens in the SCC-410, my Catalyst program will get updated this way. Okay, and you can do this for, you know, extra points. This is just an example of 3 points I did. So 1 analog input, 1 analog output, and 1 digital. And you can add more, obviously. But this is, you know, a quick overview of what happened there. I went through the procedure pretty quickly. If anything is unclear or you guys have any questions, drop us a line. Our contact information will be coming up shortly at the end of the video. Thanks, guys. We'll talk soon.